Because, like, maybe you could have fun.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking, this is probably bad. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Haters Multimedia Empire official podcast. This is episode number 40. You're not supposed to laugh through the intro. On this show, we will talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, and everyone's favorite, political discourse. I'm your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is the Laughing Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
Hello.
How are you, Midget Radio?
Doing well, Tactic Angel. How are you?
I'm already drunk, so this is gonna fucking rule.
That's great. Intoxicated and full of hate. I love it.
Yes. All right. Yeah, I have a delicious Jim Beam Bonded, which is 50% alcohol
Holy fuck.
and 100% delicious. I highly recommend it.
Holy shit. Wow. Well, I am I don't know what, I am back on the bullet right. I think I'm obsessed with this whiskey now. I think I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, I don't know.
That is surprising because that is a rough
I know.
whiskey.
I didn't expect it, but god damn it. I just love it. I don't know.
That whiskey is the cinematic equivalent of being the protagonist for 3 stories and then having your character assassinated in a following movie.
Fantastic. Sure. That's what I think of when I drink it.
Completely unrelated. We're going to be talking about The Last Jedi today. So Star Wars, The Last Jedi is hopefully an appropriately named movie. It takes place in the Star Wars universe, probably, and is the sequel to The Force Awakens. It stars people like Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and a whole bunch of people who should probably be unemployed. Midget Radio, what is your opinion of Star Wars, The Last Jedi?
I'm just going to take a stab in the dark and suggest that it's probably not as dire as yours is. Though I can't say that it's really all that positive. So
not super good. Do you want to give our audience a feel for the more positive aspects of this movie?
That
is a fantastic list.
I like Poe Dameron's X-Wing fighter. I liked it. What was it, red or like gold or something? I don't know.
It's black with red accents.
That's right, red accents, yeah.
Black leader.
Yeah, I liked that X-Wing. That was cool, X-Wing. Am I wrong on that? Is it not a cool X-Wing?
I prefer the old school X-Wings, but I am not seriously put off by the new style X-Wings. And they're
like that X-Wing.
Sort of strange, impossible CGI.
Here's what I was thinking about when I left the theater, and while I was reading and trying to figure out what like all of the backlash was about. Because when I walked out of the movie, I thought, well, that is from someone who doesn't really care that much about Star Wars. I'm not I like it as much as any other random person, I guess. It was a totally mediocre Star Wars movie, but I feel like more substantively, the movie had like a lot of different ideas, and some of them were good ideas, but I don't think it knew which ones were good. That's how I feel about this movie.
I can see what you're saying, and we'll get more into this in the spoilers. I will say that their philosophical exploration of any ideas in this movie were pretty blind, bankrupt, or just plain stupid. Just poorly done in just about every way.
Okay.
I would say that the special effects in this movie are above average.
Yeah. I liked the laser swords and
let's see, other things that I liked about this movie. I liked the credits were competently put together and ordered in a manner that seemed to make sense.
No, I didn't sit through them, so
I didn't either.
Okay, great.
But it, you hit the Star Wars fanfare and it was like, oh, that's cool. I'm sure I understand everything that comes next.
Right.
I'm just giving them a pass so I can add things to the list of things that I thought were acceptable about this movie.
That's nice. That's nice.
Would you say that you had more negative opinions about this movie than positive?
I guess, yeah, probably. I don't know by how much though. There's not a lot in here that I don't know. I just thought it was kind of like I felt like the movie again, I think it had some decent ideas, but then it just contradicted itself over and over. And yeah, I don't know. There wasn't anything particularly remarkable about it. Whatever the interpretations are of Luke Skywalker's character, or however people may feel about him in this movie, I think Mark Hamill is a pretty great performer. I actually really like him as an actor.
I think he has grown a lot since his power converter days.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, a lot of that's been off screen, but it is good to see him on screen again, and such that the script required his total character assassination. He did a good job in portraying that.
Yeah, I thought he was great. Yeah, he's very engaging on the screen, far more so than anyone else. That's for sure.
Is that because all of the other people in this movie are bad actors?
I don't think anyone in this movie is a bad actor.
Well, then you need to see Murder on the Orient Express when Daisy Ridley is without lightsaber and she is painfully bad.
I thought she was fine in this movie. I thought Finn was fine. I thought everybody else was basically fine. In a giant Star Wars movie.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Star Wars: The Last Jedi is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Maybe not if you're a giant Star Wars fan, but I don't know. Otherwise, yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how else to express it. I didn't think it was a particularly good movie. I didn't think it was a particularly awful movie either.
I disliked pretty much every scene in this movie.
Okay.
That pretty much sums it up. I disliked pretty much every scene in this movie.
Okay.
There were some that I disliked only mildly, probably because they were next to other scenes that I disliked and that they included characters that I dislike.
Okay.
And then there are really, really bad bad scenes.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I do have something really positive to say about this movie.
Oh my God.
Like really positive. Like I really loved it. Snoke's lair is set like a stage play and it looks gorgeous. I love his little throne room area. Fucking loved it.
Okay.
That's it. Loved it. That was my favorite part of the movie, actually. Every time it cut to that just so that I could look at it was fantastic.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
That's definitely my favorite part of the movie.
All right. Because I'm already drunk and really in a ranty sort of mood. Midget Radio, give me your fucking 1 to 5 so we can move on.
2.5 stars. Yeah, 2.5 stars.
I'm gonna give this solidly a 1.
Okay.
I believe that absent the Christmas special, this is probably the worst Star Wars movie that's ever been made.
That's so worse than the prequels.
Okay. Yes. Absolutely
That's
worse than the
crazy.
prequels. And I will explain to you
Okay.
this because
Okay.
people will say it's worse than the Phantom Menace. And I
Yeah.
think that when they say that, they're like, the Phantom Menace is the worst of the prequels. And I don't think that's necessarily true.
It's not true. That is not true.
But there were more seconds in Phantom Menace that I enjoyed than this movie.
Okay.
If you remember, even though the pod race is set up in a completely ridiculous sort of betting manner that doesn't make a lot of sense,
Right.
you do still have the pod race, and the pod race
Yeah.
has two things going for it. It's a relatively competent race sequence.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty exciting. Yeah.
And it also pays homage to the Ben-Hur chariot race scene.
Yeah.
Because the music that John Williams created is very similar to the Roman March in Ben-Hur.
Okay.
And for those of us who are kind of audiophiles and are really clued into like soundtrack scores and themes and whatnot, that was kind of exciting to see. So I liked that scene, and to a certain degree, there are flashy bits that aren't super terrible. And the Phantom Menace, I understand Jar Jar is everybody's favorite punching bag,
Yeah.
and for some reasonable reasons, I think that Jar Jar was probably outdone in this movie, but we'll get to that once we get into the spoilers. And I don't think there's any reason to hold back. We should just put the spoiler tag on now.
Okay. Spoiler tag is up.
Okay, well that happened. A piece of technology came flying at me. And
Holy shit.
Yes.
Is it because you threw it and it like bounced off the wall, or
No. It looks like it made a really loud noise. I'm gonna probably delete that.
Fantastic.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna list the things that I actually liked because I don't want this to be in the non-spoiler section.
Okay.
The grand total of my enjoyment of this movie is that somebody warped a capital ship through another capital ship.
Yeah.
And like there's a second or two where you just see that and you're just like, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then there's a moment where you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If that works, why didn't we just like make a really big ship and put like a droid on it and warp it through the Death Star? Because that
Right.
seems like it would have worked.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot easier and required nobody as opposed to sending all of those X-Wing pilots and Y-Wing pilots to die.
Right. Well, there's a lot of Star Wars bullshit plot holes.
Well, I guess that wouldn't have made quite such a great movie.
No. I like that though. That was cool, and I like the choice to keep it like dead silent for a little while. So we just
Yes.
watched the ship split. It was cool. That was really cool.
It was visually interesting.
Yeah.
That is the sum total of things that I liked from this movie.
You didn't like Snoke's throne room? Come on.
Okay, so my problem with Snoke's, like, first of all, I'm not like super into like plays. I like plays. I go to plays, but I don't think, man, the set design is amazing.
It's beautiful. I love it.
And for the most part, Snoke's throne room is just a sea of red. He lives in a giant red dome, it looks like. And he has his throne in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I guess he just sits there and thinks about being evil.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's perfect. It's a perfect place for a character who is just evil, apparently, to dwell. It's perfect.
But I don't really know that Snoke's all that evil because, God, I don't even know who he is.
Well, whatever. It's fucking Star Wars. I mean, the Emperor is
get it.
evil. So Snoke is evil. You know.
So anyway, I mean, I didn't. There's that. The things that are happening in that scene are so aggravating.
I guess.
Like, I was really, really sad that Snoke didn't have a mustache, like a really long Poirot-ian mustache.
Yeah.
So that he could have been like, my apprentice will never turn on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so dumb and heavy-handed.
Well,
And-
okay, let's back off.
and-
So let's get to getting to the heart of it. Are you talking about the fact that they just killed off Snoke? Is
Yeah.
that your issue? Okay. So there's a big scene between Kylo and fucking Snoke and Daisy's like, he's not bad, referring to Kylo, and Kylo's like, I don't know if I'm bad. And Snoke's like, he's totally bad. And then Kylo, uses the Force or whatever to jam a lightsaber into Snoke's side, killing him dead right there in the middle of the throne room. So you did not like that.
I didn't, because this guy is so magically capable. Like we see in this particular movie, without taking any of the other continuity into consideration, we see in this movie that Snoke managed to reach out and pervert Kylo Ren to the dark side. And presumably he did that without any physical presence.
Right.
He knows all of these things. He doesn't appear to have windows or a view screen or anything. And
Right.
he knows that, his fleet is targeting shuttles that they can't even see and hitting them with almost unerring accuracy, which is a little shocking for Star Wars, but whatever.
Yeah.
He in multiple ways, he exhibits sort of omniscient and omnipotent qualities. I mean,
Yeah.
he beats up Admiral Gingerface from how many light years away? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been like right there. I don't know.
Well, he learned that from the Vulcans, I think. But yeah.
Yes. So that happens, and then he just gets murdered. I
Yeah.
mean, he rips the knowledge. He's so powerful. He just takes the knowledge out of Daisy's head about the location of Luke Skywalker.
Right.
And then he can't feel that Kylo is about to cut him in half with a lightsaber. He's just like so involved in his, James Bond villain speech that it's 60-year-old tropes. And even then it would have been bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't like that. And then I didn't like what they made the Sovereign Guard or whatever they call these versions, because they kind of look stupid. They kind of look like Power Ranger extras, like the people that Zed would send down to fight the Pink Ranger, and
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. That fight scene was not very interesting to me. And
There were no fight. Yeah, I don't know. There were no fights in this movie that were all that interesting to me.
So we have mustache twirling villain who's murdered unceremoniously, and then a lazy, poorly choreographed fight scene after that. So that took place in a big red room, and it did not endear me to that big red room. Before I get past that, though, I do want to address the larger continuity.
Okay.
If Luke Skywalker, a fledgling little pissant in Empire Strikes Back, can walk into a cave and feel the presence of the dark side, I feel like a person who can project himself, I guess, an unlimited distance to talk to a child at an unknown college of Jedi skill, whatever, and pervert him to the dark side. I feel like he might. It just kind of feels like he should notice that is happening. It just like, how am I supposed to accept both of these things?
Yeah.
But the room is red, and I accept that you would like it for being a big red room. Very minimalist.
Really minimalist. Yeah, I mean, really stark kind of set design.
Almost like the budget ran out.
Yeah, I love it. God. Yeah, I just love it. But yeah, I don't really, I mean, I don't fundamentally have an issue with anything that you're saying. I mean, a lot of this crap I just write off to, well, it's Star Wars bullshit, so that's why it works. He was able to use the lightsaber without Snoke noticing because that's how it works. It's, you know, I don't know if my expectations just aren't as high. But
I don't
know. I would say,
if you watch Empire is a legitimately well-crafted movie.
I would say that Empire is also more or less an exception to the rule of Star Wars movies. I mean, if you look at the sum total of what we have in the Star Wars universe, you know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, it was the second movie that was ever made, but
I would say the original Star Wars was a competent homage to what they were trying to pay homage to, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I think that it was a neatly enough. I mean, like, if you look at it, it's nothing wildly exceptional. It's a well done movie. It has likable characters. It has a suitably evil couple of villains in it, and the whole thing plays together. It has a nice sort of fate and fortune and mysticist sort of undertone to it. So, like, you got the factual and the spiritual, and it kind of works together, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Empire is a legitimately great movie.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is I would say largely action porn.
Yeah.
Action porn with a little bit of marketability in there for the Ewoks.
Yep. Yeah. We figured out that toy angle.
And I mean, like, you could point to Jedi and point to the beginning of a negative trend for this sort of whole series, but I don't think, if you look at it largely, I think that it's mostly forgivable. Some of the stuff's a little wonky, but
I would agree with that. But then
overall,
we have three fucking disasters. And then we have Star Wars A New Hope Redux.
Yes.
And then we have Rogue One, which was surprisingly good. So you know what I mean? I mean, I just don't have very high expectations. Like,
you know, and at this point, I don't have high expectations either. And actually, the only thing that made me go out and see this movie is that you said that you thought that we had to do it and that you were going to go out and see it. And I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, at this point, I really don't want to, because this movie is legitimately terrible.
I don't know. I don't think it's just terrible. I think it's just not very good. And I would say that like the plot stuff doesn't really bother me. I don't really care that they executed Snoke rather unceremonious. I mean, he was a totally uninteresting presence anyway. I mean, he's just the Emperor. Like, he's just the Emperor again. He's part of The Force Awakens, New Hope Redux. That's all he is. So I don't really care that the film dispatched with him as it did. I would say that the substantive weakness for me anyway, and the reason that none of this really hangs together very well, is that it hinges. But this movie in particular really hinges on Kylo Ren, and we have no sense of him. Like, I don't know what he finds attractive about the dark side. I don't really even understand the process by which he became attracted to the dark side. I don't know what Daisy sees in him that's at all salvageable. I have no idea why he decided to betray Snoke at the time that he did. And I have absolutely no idea what he's thinking of or what his intentions are going forward. And when you have a character like that, when so much of the plot revolves around people's reactions to this character, and we have no sense of him, none of this is going to make any sense, and I think all of it's going to kind of fall apart when you start to really analyze it. So
yeah. But
I mean, that's what's driving Luke Skywalker. That's what's driving Daisy. That's what's driving Leia. I mean, so much of it is, how do we feel about Kylo Ren? What are we supposed to do in the face of Kylo Ren? That's Snoke. That's where so many of these character motivations and decisions come down to, I think, and it's obnoxious. Because I mean, I don't know what to think about that fucking kid, and nothing he does makes any damn sense to me.
Did you love the Skype across the universe scenes?
So I liked him in the sense that, like, I liked him in the sense that it's the Force, and the Force gets to be mystical and magical, and maybe this is just sort of some weird Force interaction. It's some sort of mystical connection that these two have. I like it in that sense. I do not like the idea that Snoke is somehow facilitating it. So if it's kind of a random spiritual occurrence, I guess, that I can get into. That I actually do kind of dig the mystical angle of that. But that it's being orchestrated by somebody else is fucking stupid.
I hated him. Anyway. I don't want to get too hung up on the idea that, like, my issue with this movie is not that they killed Snoke. My issue with killing Snoke is that it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
In the universe. But my issue with this movie is mostly that it relies upon either you being an idiot or I mean, essentially the plot of this movie requires you to believe that if Hitler could have won a war by giving the Allies a fuck ton of time to think about how to get out of this versus crush them immediately, and it would cost him nothing to do so, that he would have just sat around and waited. Because the plot of this movie is largely based around, I mean, like, centrally based around a low-speed chase between a group of slower ships and a group of faster ships that stay just out of range that are actually exactly as fast as one another, because we all understand how relative speed works.
Okay.
Because, like, if I'm driving a car and you're driving a car and you drive your car at 30 miles an hour and I drive my car at 35 miles an hour, eventually I will be way in front of you.
Right.
But for some reason, they can only burn out of range. And then at that point, they're just like kind of stuck perpetually just just beyond the grasp. And let's not even talk about why did the Empire not the Empire, the Empire would have fucking done something right in this movie. Why did the First Order change its fighter tactics? Because, I mean, you can't shoot Poe Dameron. He's too close to the thing. And you're like, okay, so that has never been a problem before, but I guess we downgraded our weapons.
Right.
When we made this new super weapon. But we can't risk any of our TIE fighters dying. God knows we don't do that in tens of thousands. I mean, this is coming fresh off the heels of Rogue One. And in Rogue One, at some point we see them launch TIE fighters. And they launch, what is it, 1 billion of them?
Yeah.
1 billion.
Yeah.
And they're just like, one of them is probably going to shoot something down.
Yeah. Well,
And
that was the Empire, so, you know. Rogue
Yeah,
One.
you're right. You're right. These are smarter, better villains.
Maybe because the First Order is like the Empire sort of risen from the ashes. You know, they don't have as many dudes. They don't have like all the clones and shit. I don't fucking know.
But then we have a situation where Kylo Ren and 2 nameless, faceless individuals fly over to 3 capital ships and manage to take out all of the rebel fighters and the bridge of the flagship of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Killing everyone on it except for the only actress in this movie that we have confirmed is dead.
Oh yeah. Okay, that scene. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand.
Maybe
any
they
of
should
that.
have sent 9 fighters because then they could have taken out all 3 ships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if they sent 1 billion, like they usually do, they'd have taken everything out.
Yeah.
And who cares if 900,000 of them get killed? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Empire always has more TIE fighters.
Right. But the First Order, maybe they don't. You know.
Okay.
I don't
So
know.
let-
It doesn't. I don't care. I don't care really. I mean, this is just stupid plot stuff that I don't really care.
So the crux of this also depends on the ability to track ships through hyperspace.
Yeah.
This is a technology that is so complicated and so rare that we've only seen 1 ship that has ever been built with this technology. We've seen 3 Death Stars that are capable of destroying planets. We've seen 1 of them that can destroy apparently several planets from an unlimited distance.
Oh yeah, the Star Killer base. Yeah.
Which was in the last movie. Which
Yes, it was. It was like the Death Star, but more badass.
Yeah. It was the Death Star that went into the Bavarian woodlands and started doing a whole bunch of steroids.
Yeah. But yeah, the track through hyperspace, that's just on 1 ship.
We can't jam it. We got to go
No.
over there.
Yeah. Because whatever.
And there's only 1 ship in the entire fleet. We know which one it is. There's
Yeah.
only 1 in the entire fleet.
I just feel like that's just more typical Star Wars crap. If we shoot our bombs in this hole, it will blow up the entire fucking Death Star because hey, in the Star Killer, if we like break these batteries or whatever the fuck, guess what? It'll blow up the entire goddamn Star Killer base. Like, it's just stupid, convenient Star Wars dumb bullshit that, you know, like I don't really care. It's Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Where do we keep our navigation computers? Outside the ship. Outside and underneath the ship. That's where we keep our guidance system because
They're protected by glass.
why wouldn't we put it there? Like it's just dumb bullshit. Like
So
I'll
it's
grant
dumb.
you that there's a significant amount of that kind of crap in this movie. So when you add it all up, it gets a little irritating. But
This movie is so Deus Ex, and it's so stupid, and they fucking ruin, like, their characters are bad, but then they take the time to shit on their characters.
Okay. Is this Luke Skywalker that we're talking about, or
I mean, we can talk about Luke. I mean, Luke is okay.
we can't
Luke
say
is
they
the-
shit on all of their characters. I don't think there's a marked difference between Finn in this movie and Finn in the last movie, or
No, there was one moment when Finn was going to be better than he was. And in Finn, part of my issue when we talked about The Force Awakens was that Finn feels remarkably inconsistent and he doesn't take anything too seriously. And ultimately that's because Finn is really mostly concerned about himself and to a certain extent Daisy, because whenever he looks at Daisy, he gets a funny feeling in his pants and he's not really sure what that is, but he's pretty sure he doesn't want anything bad to happen to Daisy.
right.
So in the first movie, he kind of waffles back and forth about, I'm not going to be a stormtrooper. I'm going to run away. No, I'm going to be part of the rebellion. No, I'm not going to be. Wait, yes, I am. Part of the rebellion, definitely for sure. Now this movie, it's time to leave. And now it's time to come back. And then he has the moment when he's like, you know what? I am going to sacrifice myself to save all of these people in the rebellion that are behind this invincible wall. And the movie ruins it. And I understand, listener, that part of you is saying, Tactic Angel, you just want Finn to die. And there's a part of me that's like, yes, that would probably make me happy. But there's also a part of me that would be like, yeah, okay. If we go back to even Star Wars, you have Han Solo. He's an asshole. He's just in it for the money. He helps Ben and Luke, but he only does it because of the money and to save his own hide in the end. And then he's like, whatever, Death Star, good luck.
Yeah.
But then you have that scene where he comes in and he saves the day so that Luke can actually save the day. And that's a redeeming character moment. And you would have had kind of a redeeming character moment for Finn if he had just been allowed to do something heroic. And instead you have fucking Rose in her stupid whatever jalopy, rams him, T-bones him at they're both going 100 miles an hour, right?
Sure.
And they T-bone each other, and there's a part of you that's like, well, they're dead. And that's only every logical part of your body that thought that.
Well, this is a Star Wars movie, but
and it is the complete disillusion of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
And that would have been a really good moment for Finn. And you would have been like, oh, Finn, I don't hate you that much anyway. Instead, we get, I was in a high-speed collision with you. And then some fucking nonsense about we don't want to fight the things that we shouldn't fight the things that we hate. We should fight for the things we love. And it's like, I was trying to save all of these people who are about to get annihilated by what is apparently a giant rolling Death Star laser on the ground. I wasn't trying to fly into that machine because I specifically hated it. I was trying to save. It's just a stupid line.
I agree.
Character is from start to finish. Rose is the worst character in Star Wars.
Well, that's completely ridiculous. But she's utterly unnecessary. And I think most of the reason that none of that works is that there's nothing between her and Finn. There's nothing on screen there. I would say so a lot of this decision making doesn't really make any fucking sense at all. But No, she's not even. No, Jar Jar is a million fucking times more unbearable than. Yeah, there's no contest there. That's way too extreme. But she is.
I can't think of a single time that Jar Jar derailed a major character moment.
So
just so that he could say something stupid.
I think your investment in this massive character movement is a little much. It's a little
it is
over much.
One point.
He did not need to die in order to have this redeeming moment. That's totally extreme. Way too. He's already made the fucking decision. You know, he's already gonna do it. It's still a choice that he made, that he got saved from for what was kind of a stupid reason. But no, I'm sorry, Tactic Angel. I can't give you that. It's not. The fact that he didn't die does not mean that this decision he made is somehow irrelevant. And that he has now, and that as the movie progresses and he fights Phasma or Phantasma or whatever the fuck her name is, and he's like, I'm a rebel now, whatever. I am rebel scum. You know, I mean, he's made his fucking choice. Whatever. It's fine. Maybe it's not as melodramatic as he wanted it to be, but I'm not going to say that makes Rose the worst character in Star Wars. That's no. No.
Remind me again how Rose and Finn met.
She was like, he was about to like get in an escape pod, right? To go try to find Daisy.
Oh, wait. Why? And what was her reaction when she saw him?
She was like, you're a fucking badass. You're a hero.
Except.
And then she gets mad at him because she thinks he's like abandoning the cause or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then she shocks him.
Uh-huh.
So
and then she goes to then they talk about what they need to do.
Yeah, they gotta go get a guy.
And then she decides that she's going to abandon ship too.
Right, to go get this guy. But to help help the fleet get away from this very long chase scene.
Uh-huh. Which, by the way, even the smallest amount of tactical knowledge would allow you to completely get around, right?
Sure.
I mean, we know that these ships have two speeds, right? They have like sublight speed and superluminal or hyperspace speed. So why not just jump in front of the fleeing rebels and crush them in a pincer move, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't know how far you can jump, right? Can you jump like, I don't know, a couple dozen feet? I don't know if you can do that.
You know, even if you can't jump a couple dozen feet, let's say you have to jump at least.
This is plot crap. I mean, I just don't think it's that interesting.
Well, I'll address this first on a logical level and then also on a Star Wars level.
Okay.
If the minimum distance that I can jump, say, is 10 light years.
Okay.
Then if I jump 11 light years and jump immediately 10 backwards, I have solved the issue.
Oh, okay. So they jump twice. Okay.
And we have already seen several times that communication is functionally instant across the galaxy.
Yeah.
So not an issue. You tell me where they are. Once I get out of hyperspace, I come back. I'm right on top of them.
Right.
So we have solved it there. The second thing is there's
sure.
There is not, like, name one other moment in all of Star Wars where they mentioned anything to do with technology.
I don't know.
There really isn't any.
Right.
This is a plot that revolves around basically a technology that doesn't make any sense. in a system where technology is not supposed to be a primary concern. Because we can talk about Star Trek all we want.
Right.
And both you and I, whether we know it or not, can explain the general theory behind an Alcubierre drive.
Yeah.
And it's not because we read a lot of physics. It's because we watch Star Trek, and all those fucking people who are writing those things were watching, you know, the science fiction channel and reading NASA nonsense and trying to base Star Trek technology on actual technology, you know, plus or minus the theory of relativity. Theory of relativity. So, like, leave that sort of technobabble nonsense technological limitation to some other thing. Don't fuck around with this low speed chase. The low speed chase is 90% of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense. And you end up with this contrived thing. Now we go back to Rose. Rose says, you know what we need to, or I don't know if she said this exactly, but what they decide is that they're going to try to find somebody who can hack whatever the Wi-Fi.
He's a master code breaker. So he's going to master code breaker. He's going to master code break.
So he's going to shut down the Wi-Fi on the Star Destroyer, and everything's going to be great. So they go to Casino Planet. Yeah. They go to Casino Planet, which may in fact be the worst sequence in all of Star Wars, because it's like
it's not the worst sequence in all of Star Wars.
Are you kidding?
No.
When the antelopes are taking over the casino?
Yeah, it's not the fucking worst.
None of the gunships
thing in
have
all
any
of
guns.
Star Wars is probably Anakin Skywalker and Padme having a picnic. That might be the worst fucking thing in all of Star Wars. Doesn't he like bull ride an ant or something like that in that scene? Like he's trying to balance on top of some giant beetle or something. And
I think
like
that's in the arena.
Really hard.
I think that's a little later.
I'm pretty sure this is at the fucking picnic because it's like really comical and, you know, slapstick. That's the worst. Attack of the Clones. Just rewatch that movie, Tactic. I can't imagine that you would want to.
Why would you do that?
Exactly. Just to prove that that's probably the worst film in this entire fucking franchise.
Here's the thing about Attack of the Clones. I remember solidly 3 seconds of it.
Do you know why that is? It's a psychological defense mechanism. It's not anything else. It's not, oh, it was so boring, I don't remember it. It's an active psychological defense mechanism. And I'm happy that you have it. I'm happy that you know.
Well, I mean, like this is part of my thing when I was like making a few notes before our discussion today. I had to really try to remember The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens is a bad movie.
Yeah.
And I honestly remember more of The Phantom Menace. And so if this is
The Phantom Menace is the best of the first 3 of those prequels. That's not saying much, but it's the best one.
So I don't know, because like the third one, like you argue, here's the argument for the first versus the third one.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things that are really shitty that happen in the first movie.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things that are interesting in the first movie. Not very much happens in the third movie.
No.
And then it ends with no.
Right. The last half of it is a half hour of that, and the preceding 2 hours is lava fight. And that's
so it doesn't go off the rails too far because nothing happens.
Fucking lava fight.
It's tedious.
It is the longest thing. It's the longest fucking fight scene. God, those are bad movies. Those are horrid movies.
And yet more watchable.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
My issue with this is I can't remember a scene that is as cringe as watching some space antelope run through a casino and then run rampant. And there's these like helicopter gunships. They're not helicopters because they just naturally hover. Whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't have any guns. And they're like, we're not going to shoot those people because they're animals. And this is weird somehow. And
well, they're like,
and then there's
probably worth money. I don't know.
But then at the same time, you're like, this is the same planet where they throw you in jail for a parking violation.
Yeah.
What are the chances that if you went on wholesale assault, battery, attempted murder, and property destruction, that they wouldn't shoot at you?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's just a misdemeanor. But those parking offenses, when you put your Millennium Falcon on the beach, you're going to jail, motherfucker.
Yeah. I don't see how that is like markedly worse than didn't Han have like a fucking zoo animal or something in Force Awakens and like it broke loose in the ship because stupid, and then they had to run from it because fucking typical Star Wars stupid dumbass goddamn scene where you're running from aliens and shit. Like,
you mean the tentacle monster?
yeah, the tentacle monster in the ship. That was absolutely stupid and completely fucking unnecessary.
I think that happened on a spaceship.
Yeah, it happened on the space
station.
Yeah.
Space
I don't know
station.
if it was a station because
I think it was a space
Han
station.
was like transporting it. I thought, but
I think he might have transported it to the space station. Then something went wrong.
maybe. So that's stupid. Or
It is stupid.
Underwater planet, right? Like under Ewan McGregor, and right?
Bad movie.
Jesus Christ! I just don't see how this that you're talking about right now is in any way worse than any of the crap that we have seen in Star Wars movies before. It's the same stupid bullshit.
So my appreciation of this movie is very similar to Attack of the Clones, which I consider to be the worst of the prequels.
Yeah, that's the second movie, right?
Yes.
That's absolutely the worst one of the entire franchise, but yeah.
in Attack of the Clowns, they have like this, like the droids engage the clones, and like, who cares, because all of these people are non-characters. It's just, action porn.
Right.
And there's a shot that's about as long as, say, the capital ship warping through the super Star Destroyer in this movie. And it's just particle effects and lasers and shadows of people shooting at each other. And that was like,
yeah, I think I remember what you're talking. Was that in the middle of the sort of a dust storm?
yes.
Yeah, that was a really cool shot with the blaster
really cool
light
shot.
reflecting off the dust. Yeah, that was fucking fantastic. Yeah.
That was fantastic. That was basically the only part of that movie that I enjoyed. And it lasted functionally a similar period of time as the only point of this movie that I enjoyed. And it didn't make no fucking sense either.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, particle effects, blasters, got it. That makes sense. If we can warp capital ships through a fucking Death Star, then we have been making mistakes for a long time, gentlemen. We
have to talk about resources, right? Like, how many capital ships can you make? How many,
You don't have to put anything in it. You just make a giant lead weight in space
and stick a hyperdrive on it.
And stick a hyperdrive on it. You program up some fucking droid, and you're like, "Hey, buddy, do you know what your raison d'etre is?" And he's like, "No, but I will once you tell me." And he says, "What would make you happier than anything in the world is if you could warp this through the largest Imperial facility you can find."
Right. Okay.
And so he sees the Death Star, he warps through it, millions of lives are saved.
Right. Well, they didn't figure it out like that Admiral lady, whatever. Laura Dern, that's who it was. Laura Dern, she was maybe the first to pioneer that. Like, maybe it was a theory for a while, and then she actually fucking did it in a moment of desperation, and now they know. And now in all movies going forward, their entire arsenal is just giant metallic hulks with hyperdrives attached to them.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that.
That's gonna be the third one of this.
It'll be Star Wars suicide bombers.
Okay, so I'm gonna tack on to your point, because I feel like this scene actually illustrates, I think, a lot of what you're talking about, at least with respect to this point. But it also, I think, speaks to some of my issues with this film, in the sense that I think it contradicts itself a lot, and that it has some good ideas, but it's not sure how to commit to them. And it's chiefly with Luke Skywalker's "I force projected myself into a fight with Kylo Ren in front of that big, right, invincible door."
Mm-hmm.
So, one, you're like, well, Jesus Christ, if you can just do that, right? If you can just project yourself in a manner where you will sustain zero bodily harm, but can do just massive amounts of destruction if you want to, why wouldn't you just fight an entire war that way? So there's that. But I think the problem with that scene more substantively is that I liked the interaction originally.
Give me a second.
Okay.
I don't think he does any damage.
No, he doesn't, but it's clear that he could. He's got a fucking lightsaber. He's able to engage with Kylo Ren. I don't know what would stop him from taking that fucking lightsaber and doling out damage to every single goddamn walker and ship that's along that landscape, right? What's going to stop him from that? Nothing. He can clearly take a shitload of blaster fire and brush the dust off of his shoulder. It's a stupid scene, but more substantively. So I originally liked the exchange between him and Daisy when he's like, basically, what did you expect me to do? Like, what did you think was going to happen? That I'm going to pick up a laser sword and go fight the fucking First Order all by myself and take it all down, right? And you're like, okay, well, that's sort of interesting. I mean, it's a curmudgeonly Luke Skywalker who is kind of being disdainful toward his weapon of choice, and a lot of the Star Wars mythos, it sort of seems like, and is shattering this girl's illusions of what she expects this great fucking hero who's got all this legend and legacy behind him. That I kind of enjoyed that moment, but then he does exactly the thing that he makes fun of her for expecting him to do, which makes it stupid. I mean, he can pick up a lightsaber and force project himself fucking anywhere and take down the entire First Order single-handedly if he wants to. It seems
Do you remember what he said to her? He asked her a question. It's like, what do you think the Force does at the beginning of their training? And it's like, I think she says something like, you can change people's mind and move rocks. Or something like that.
Everything he said was wrong. Yeah.
And he's like, that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And then I forget, how does she save the rebellion?
Yeah, she moves a bunch of fucking rocks. Exactly. It's this kind of crap. Yeah. It's this kind of crap where the movie seems to sort of want to go in this slightly new direction and then immediately contradicts itself toward the end. And that's where you're left like, what am I supposed to think about any of this? Luke Skywalker is the mythic legend that he just somehow has kind of lost faith in, you know? And like, it just seems sort of stupid where the movie's trying to bring in this sort of element of reality, this like darker element where the Force can't fix all your fucking problems, but then it goes ahead and uses the Force to fix all of its fucking problems. And you're like, well, stop undercutting yourself.
So there's an argument out there about whether or not the whole, like, Toro, which is Benicio del Toro, he's out there and he's like, there's really no difference between good and evil, which is whatever. Right. And you kind of think maybe they're going with something like that. But then they double back on it. And like that makes more sense because most of us are willing to accept that there are things that are inherently good and there are things that are inherently evil. And most of it is about the respect of life and liberty. And great. But that all gets muddled in this. And like that could have been, and that's another thing that kind of goes into like Finn's character. It's another thing that goes into pretty much anybody who's on the rebellion side, is that there is good and that there is evil. and then when you have all these other things where it's like, you know, that's not what the Force is about, whatever. Yeah. It just muddles everything.
It does. Yeah. It confuses
when
it.
you
and
double
it
back on it.
Yeah.
And if that was supposed to be a theme, and it's fucking hard to tell if it is.
Yeah.
Then it's completely destroyed by the incompetence of the rest of the right.
I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think I think those are the substantive problems with this film. And I think to carry it a little bit further, in the scene where Kylo and Daisy take out Snoke, take out everybody, and then Kylo's like, you know, join me and rule by my side. And Daisy's like, no, don't do this. I don't want you to do this. Like, there's almost an interesting direction. And this is where I feel like the film kind of had like, maybe this is a good idea. Maybe we want to pursue this, where Kylo decides to essentially just reject Snoke and the First Order. And I don't know. Join up with Daisy to do what? Like, I'm not sure what exactly he was looking for at that point, but by the end of the movie, it seems pretty clear that, well, he's just an evil son of a bitch, and he's still going to carry out the First Order's primary mission, right? Which is to destroy the Resistance. That's it. I don't know why he wants to destroy the Resistance. I don't know why he personally feels the need to do that instead of having Snoke, I guess, just do that. And serving by his side. I don't really understand any of that, but I felt like there was a possibility that Kylo Ren was almost like he was a different kind of evil. And maybe it would have been more interesting if his character was evil in the sense of like, you know, the Dark Knight Joker style, where it's like he's evil in the sense that he's rejecting, like, the First Order isn't bad enough. He's totally rejecting the idea of any kind of order whatsoever. And that's why he kills Snoke, who's evil in the sense of being a kind of totalitarian and wanting to control everything and still imposing his own like sadistic sense of order on other people. Whereas Kylo Ren is just an agent of fucking chaos. That would have been kind of an interesting direction where you're doing what the movie seemed to kind of want to do, which was ditch the old Star Wars model. Let's kill off Snoke because we're not going to have another emperor. And we're not going to watch the same fucking journey with Luke Skywalker trying to convert his dad back to good at the end of this movie and Daisy trying to do the same goddamn thing with Kylo. Reject all of that and instead have Kylo be kind of this agent of chaos, who's not looking for order, who's not looking for anything like that, who just wants to see the galaxy burn, I guess, to modify the Dark Knight quote. Like, that would have been kind of an interesting direction, but the movie fucking abandons that. It kind of sets that up and then totally doubles back on it, and he's just the king of the First Order. He's just replaced Snoke. They're not doing anything different, really, at this point.
I hope he gets like a mini me in the next episode.
That's what I think is like primarily frustrating about this movie. I don't think it knows what it wanted to do. I think it had kind of this grand design about, we're going to take Star Wars in a different direction. No, we're not. Maybe we are. Maybe kind of, but not really. And then this is what you get. You get a muddled fucking second film with a character that doesn't really make any sense, whose motivations are just, I don't know, practically non-existent. Like, they're just indecipherable. Therefore making his relationship to everybody else equally indecipherable. And it just muddies the motivation of every single person involved in this fucking movie. And You know, so what do you do with that? I don't know. You just write it off as a fucking Star Wars movie. That's all. Like, that's what I do anyway.
No, I get it, and I was a big fan of Star Wars when I was growing up, and eventually I kind of transitioned into a Star Trek person, which is, you know, probably fucking apparent if you've listened to more than one of these episodes, because it seems to come up a lot.
Yeah, it does. It kind of does.
But I mean, I can't just write it off as this is a stupid Star Wars thing, because there are, like, I understand that the Death Star, the original Death Star, its design flaw is improbable, and but to a certain extent, it's really more a product of what was Star Wars all about, and it was all about basically aping serials, like, you know, science fiction serials that came before it.
Yeah,
and like, in that sense, perfectly makes sense.
Yeah.
After that, I feel like the bar was heightened significantly, because you get Empire, and Empire is a work of art.
Yeah.
And you get Return of the Jedi, which is a competent film, which, you know, Ewoks aside, you do have a lot of interesting character moments with Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
Luke and Vader, even Luke and the Emperor.
Yeah.
And then you get down to this, and I mean, I haven't even gotten the complete character assassination of Luke Skywalker yet, right?
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker makes no sense in this movie. And like, I get the whole curmudgeonly person if you delete Kylo Ren from the picture. But there's this weird thing where it's like, I think that, you know, like the Sith and the Jedi, you know, like they're bad, and like maybe we shouldn't do this anymore.
Right.
Just throw the whole system out. Okay, well, that's great, Luke, but there are no Jedi, and there's definitely at least 2 Sith.
Yeah.
So what you're doing on this planet is throwing away the good.
So I hated all of the reasoning behind that. That's the kind of cheap, stupid, fucking. I'm not even sure how to describe it. But the idea that you have, I guess, a mountain of Jedi texts, and that there's nothing in them that Daisy can't learn about because she already fucking like knows everything, I guess, that's in there, is so stupid. It's so
she's such a fucking Mary
stupid.
Sue.
It's so fucking dumb. And I think just a complete insult to the whole idea of the Jedi even being kind of a religious approach to the Force or anything like that. It's just stupid and lazy. But again, it speaks to that theme that it seemed like the fucking movie wanted to pursue. We're going to abandon the old and try to create something new before we double back and go right back to the fucking old. Like, it's just, I think then I would imagine the third movie, we're going to find out that none of that stuff burned down. And you know what? Everything's fine. The Jedi texts are still there. By the way, we're gonna go to Ewok Planet Part 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell what they're gonna do with the third movie at this point, because this movie was such a, like, if you think of this as a middle chapter, it's hard to figure out what the third chapter is gonna be.
I have no idea. It doesn't help that, like, I don't understand how the First Order even came to be. I don't understand, like, how the Resistance is in the position that it is. Again, I mean, Jesus Christ. 30 years later, Leia's still fucking fighting a goddamn war against an overwhelming Jesus. Like,
and yes, and like, consistently the galaxy is completely fucked.
Yeah.
From a writing point of view.
Yeah.
Do you realize the amount of time that has probably passed from the beginning of the last movie and the end of this movie?
Yeah.
It's probably 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And in that time, you have Rey, who was trading basically junk
Yeah.
for food,
Yeah.
goes on to magically learn how to control other people's mind,
Yeah.
laser sword fight.
Yeah.
She bests a Jedi
Yeah.
in and I'm not even talking about Kylo Ren. She bests Kylo Ren, then she bests a Jedi in this movie in like a stick fight, which is fucking dumb. But then she decides to go to a super Star Destroyer and try to like turn this guy, and then he's like, oh, we killed the Emperor together, but guess what? I'm still evil.
Yeah.
And then she escapes and moves enough rocks to save the last 15 people who care about this franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't even make sense, because in the last movie, Luke was leaving pieces of a map to where he was.
Yeah.
So that people could find him.
Yeah.
And so like this whole movie feels kind of like the director is trolling the audience. So Luke set up this elaborate plot so that someone would come to him and he would be able to sarcastically toss a lightsaber over his shoulder.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That's just fucking dumb.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
And to talk about Luke, like Luke's motivation in this is inconsistent with his character before. I mean, you even have a section in this movie where it's like, hey, what happened to my buddy Han Solo? Cut.
Yeah.
Go to the next scene.
Yeah.
And you're like, do you think he wouldn't care about that?
I know.
Do you think that the audience wouldn't want to see what Luke Skywalker
thinks of Han's death? Yeah, at the hands of Kylo Ren, his fucking trainee, and his son, and Han's son. Yeah.
I'm going to continue to do nothing.
Yeah.
I bet they probably filmed it, but when they put it into the movie, they were like, this makes even less fucking sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't, it doesn't
in the span of 2 weeks, Snoke goes from a relative complete unknown to being a person that every Rebel Alliance person is completely aware of and understands the motivations of.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Snoke is a stupid character. And a terrible name for a character.
Did you know that if you suffer a spinal injury by a lightsaber, that the amount of time it takes you to heal is literally a day?
Yeah, I remember that from The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, it's not a lightsaber injury, but, still severed fucking spinal cord. Just lay in bed for a while.
I actually don't have that much to complain about when it comes to, I think I do have a section here for Poe Dameron, right?
Yeah, okay.
Poe Dameron is the only person who has a character arc.
Yeah, that's true.
His character arc is do what women tell you to do.
I guess so.
Poe Dameron manages to get some bombers killed. These bombers, by the way, seem to be made of paper mache and hopes.
Yeah,
because
I didn't understand that plan really.
Yeah, bad design there. We should have put some armor on them if we were gonna make them so big.
Yeah, that would have been great. Or maybe Poe should have like defended them, because I mean he took out like all of those guns by himself. So
and then Poe Dameron has a really dumb moment, and it's right in the middle of. And I actually talked to a guy who is in the Navy about this, and I said, did you ever consider walking up to the captain and asking him to explain everything that was about to happen?
Yeah.
And how do you think that would have? How do you think that would have gone?
I enjoyed
And he
that.
said basically, if you're a captain, you can diplomatically bring up things to an admiral,
Right.
unless you're being shot at. And if you're an XO, you can bring up something to a captain, unless you're being shot at.
Right.
But you have to do it in a respectful, careful way so that you don't end your career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a fine line, and you don't want to cross it.
Yeah.
And certainly some random fucking fighter jock is not going to be able to walk up to an admiral and say, I would like to know all of the specifics of this plan.
Well, it could be different because there's only like 14 fucking people in the resistance. So, I'll call you admiral, but I ain't going to treat you like an admiral. So what are you going to do about it? There's only 14 of us.
But then at the same time, pink-haired Laura Dern doesn't make any fucking sense because her plan is stupid.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. Her view of wisdom is that not telling anyone and being retarded is virtue.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to continue until all the fuel runs out. And there just so happens to be a planet around here that has an abandoned base.
Yeah. But you don't need to know about that. Not until I can embarrass you with that information.
There are no squatters in it at all. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. And yeah, what is the harm in letting people know, I have a plan?
Yeah.
Just say I have a plan.
Yeah.
Instead of, whatever, guy.
Yeah.
Whatever. God, I hate this movie.
Yeah, it was a stupid sequence. And it's more of the film just contradicting itself. So Laura Dern's decision to hyperspace through the Capitol
Who even knew Laura Dern was alive?
I know. So she does that, and that's awesome, right? But Finn doing that, sacrificing himself, is apparently not okay.
No, it's not.
Right? So you're just like, well, what am I supposed to... Like, she was saving the things that she loves, but also destroying something that she hated, and wasn't Finn doing essentially the exact same fucking thing? Why is one different than the other? They're not. The answer is they're not. And the movie doesn't... Again, the movie has an idea. It's not sure if it's good, so it just does both things. And it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just muddled and contradictory. That's the whole film, I think, in a nutshell. Muddled and contradictory.
I wrote down a thing here about Rey.
Okay.
Her character arc.
Okay.
It said she isn't really a character, so it does not apply.
Oh yeah, she her parents whatever.
Her parents are normal people.
Doesn't that make it weird? So what about the midi-chlorians, right? Doesn't she still have all the midi-chlorians? Did they not have midi-chlorians? But somehow she got the midi-chlorians? I don't know.
I don't know,
but I don't care either.
apparently we're deep into the affirmative action of force powers, because at the end you have that nobody who takes care of the chocobos, and he can move brooms.
Oh yeah, he moved that broom. Yeah. So maybe the force is just I don't know. These midi-chlorians. I don't understand how they spread.
This movie is fucking dumb.
I don't care. I like Rey, but it's mostly because, it's mostly for the obvious reasons.
Sex?
So, yeah. The pants reasons. The Finn reasons.
Pants. Oh yeah. If Daisy Ridley was a doll, she would be just fine.
Bring out that lightsaber.
It's got really, really weird. Anyway, I mean, the character of Rey is so completely disinteresting.
Yeah,
from start to finish. Like she is like if you look at Luke, like what do we see Luke? Luke is a fucking nobody. He has a shitty job.
Right.
To make things worse, what happens immediately to Luke?
Well, his family gets burned up.
Yeah, his family gets fucking barbecued. He follows this up by he loses his mentor, right?
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan gets killed.
Yeah.
Later you see him, he loses his best friend, Han Solo. He's frozen in kryptonite.
Yeah.
His co-pilot died. Presumably they were friends.
Sure. He was the guy bitching about Womp Rats, right? Like, oh, Womp Rat. My T-16.
Something like that.
Go fuck yourself, asshole. Jesus Christ. Fucking
You know, some of us put up with
farm boy braggart.
annoying people and they're friends.
That is true. That is true. You can't underestimate that.
At a certain point, I think he gets a hand cut off. He learned that basically Hitler is his dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, in order to become powerful, he had to go to school.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire first. I mean, part of this is like Luke says, "Rey, I'm going to teach you 3 things," and he positively teaches her the better part of one of them.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Luke spends time under the tutelage of both Ben Kenobi, which isn't very long, but also Yoda, which we can imply to be longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, by the time we see, Daisy, what happens? The worst thing that happens to her in the first movie is she sees Han Solo, a guy she's known for literally hours, get run through by a person that she doesn't know.
Yeah.
And Finn gets injured.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got basically, like a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Because it's just a lightsaber strike to the spine. He shouldn't be dead at all. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. She can all of a sudden manipulate other people's minds. She knows how to laser sword fight.
Yep.
Fuck, in this movie, she knows how to swim. She grew up on a desert planet.
That's true.
Wow.
He's a good swimmer.
She can speak Wookiee. She translates Wookiee
Yeah.
to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
It's like, bitch, I knew Chewbacca before you were born.
Chewbacca was weird in this movie. Like, he was just so ancillary. He's a fucking taxi driver, I guess. Pretty much that was about it. It's kind of sad.
And the only scene you see him do anything in is he eats one of those. He's gonna eat one of those.
Oh yeah,
space chickens.
Yeah,
and then they're looking at him and he's like, "Oh, they're too cute. I can't eat it." And it's
sad.
like,
you know what I like though?
He's a Wookiee. He'll rip your arms out of their sockets.
When Luke was training Daisy and he was like, "Do you feel the Force?" And then he like rubbed that fucking weed on her hand. You feel something? That's the Force. Oh my god! I actually like that part. I thought that was funny. Yeah.
I feel like I'm more or less done. But like, if you look at Luke and Rey, the journey that they have is
non-existent. It's non-existent. There's no journey. There are a bunch of cheap overtures.
Between episode 4 and 5 and between 5 and 6, you have months, if not years, passing in both cases.
Yeah.
And in this, you have seconds.
Yeah.
And in seconds, I don't understand. Even like taking it in context, you have the rebellion, which is, I assume, the status quo at this point. They've been running things for 30 years.
Right? Yeah.
4 planets get blown up, and now there's 15 of them?
Yeah. We didn't know about that Star Killer thing. Our intelligence is god-awful. But
Also, in the ensuing minutes since the destruction of the Star Killer base, how did the First Order become so powerful?
I do not know. They are randomly powerful. They are powerful, I guess, depending on what page of the script you're on, which is, pretty typical for how at least J.J. Abrams writes a movie.
I hate this fucking movie.
Yeah, it's it's not good. It's not good.
Honestly, if I were to put Star Wars in order, I would say top 3 for me are definitely Empire.
Yeah.
Then Rogue One.
Yeah, okay.
And then probably the original.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking weird. We agreed on something?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think I'd debate that really. And then Jedi for me, easily. I like Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi. And then this is at the bottom.
Honestly, after that, I don't really give a fuck. But
I mean, you're ranking badness.
I know. It would probably be Force Awakens for me, and then Last Jedi, and then the prequels. I'm sorry, they're a goddamn train wreck. There's nothing redeeming in any of those films. I like the pod race scene in Phantom Menace, and I like the lightsaber fight at the end of Phantom Menace, because Ray Park choreographed it. That was cool that Ray Park got to choreograph that. He did a good job with it.
Except for that one part where, like, you were really expecting Obi-Wan to go like full animal on Darth Maul.
Oh yeah, and then it's another long-winded, which is fine.
Wow.
Okay.
They must have been practicing this for a long time.
Yeah. I liked it. There's nothing in Attack of the Clones, except for, I guess, that one special effects shot.
No, the Duel of the Fates theme is actually more memorable than probably more memorable than anything even in Rogue One, but I don't fucking remember any of the music in this. I'd occasionally I would occasionally recognize some themes that they wrote 40 years ago.
Okay.
That were in this, but like really the score was pretty lame, and
nothing stuck out to me about
everything was lame.
Yeah.
But that would have been another plus for Phantom Menace, because
I don't care.
That song is energizing and a nice thing to have playing while they're laser sword fighting.
Midi-chlorians. I built C-3PO. I guess you did.
That's really dumb.
Why not?
I built C-3PO for my mother, who is a slave who desperately needed a protocol droid?
Right? I mean, maybe he could sweep. It's a dirty fucking little hut they live in, so,
But he's got like a limited range of motion because he's got like those actuators that you can actually see outside of his body. Even continuity wise, C-3PO, like 3 minutes ago, before the beginning of this movie, had a red arm. He doesn't have a red arm now. Why?
Who cares?
It is solidly in the realm of who cares, but it's also in the realm of you fucked everything else up. Now I have to wonder, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Midget Radio.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
I don't.
On Star Wars, the last movie we ever have to review.
Are you kidding? Han Solo's out this year. Or 2018, I guess. It's the year of tomorrow. So, we got to watch that.
If anyone's wondering, we're recording this on the 31st.
We are. Ron Howard is... Right, Ron Howard, I think, is directing that movie, so... that's
And
something.
It's always good when you have to bring in a new director, reshoot the entire movie, and bring in acting coaches.
It can be, yeah. Yeah.
They should bring in an acting coach for Daisy Ridley. She's fucking
fine.
terrible.
I don't have any problem with her whatsoever. I think she is playing a fairly boring character about as well as can be expected.
She plays a more interesting character about as boring as can be expected.
I guess. I did not see Murder on the Orient Express, so I think she's doing Star Wars exactly the right amount of justice. So
I think she is doing Star Wars in the butt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode number 40. 40? That's amazing. Of the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official podcast. Please be whatever.
Drunk.
The podcast is over. Do all the things that you're expected to do. Thank you.